Hello, friends. Welcome. Um, I'm just really making this because Anna Deakas said, yesterday on her spiritual awakening video about, the context of what it's all about, spiritual awakening, and I wish to re-emphasize that in my own way today because Anna Dika and myself are very much on similar pathways of serving humanity, very different from each other in our spirituality and different things, although we both make ASMR videos and healing videos and you know our teaching videos and such like, but we're both here to do our best to help others, and we care. And that's where it comes from, love, more than anything else. It comes from caring about the world, caring about how things are. But her video was about spiritual awakening, and this is a spiritual plane of existence, first and foremost, that we're all spiritual beings and there is no life without spirit, and the continuation of life does happen in the afterlife, that we progress from this plane, which is called plane one, and is recognized by Father God as a spiritual plane, and then we progress on to plane two, which is another spiritual plane, and there's 12 planes in all. Father God lives on plane 12. People have evolved to plane 10 so far, and evolution takes a long time, but every step's a good one because you're bettering yourself each time you evolve. So we have to keep going along that pathway, and the sooner we start evolving here on this plane, the better. So if you open up to your spiritual self and abilities on this plane, you're going to be that much further ahead when you get to the next one. So paying attention to the fact we are spiritual beings living in this physical container, a body, which is very nice because it's quite nice to have a body. I know we suffer badly here on this world and such like, of course, with physical problems and illnesses and whatever else. And, we're just, Father God decided it was appropriate. If life could come about, it would be within the universe and it would be on physical worlds. So he created the bare minimum he needed to create to allow life to naturally trigger into action on this world, which was probably blue or green algae or something similar. Like Einstein said, in some rocky, salty pool, electric current happened and the first physical semblance of life triggered into action. And whether there was any supernatural influence on that or not, he did not know, but there was, and Father God gives it spirit because there is no life without spirit. So physical life cannot exist without spirit. And Father God blesses us each with the new spark of spirit, which is ours. We create our own life, our own soul, our own being out of that pure piece of spirit that comes to us, but it has a nature. There are light and dark within all things, including spirit, because the forces are equal in the universe of light and dark. So here too, this is why light and darkness happens on this world, and even within the spirit realm on the lower planes to some extent, because we've got to evolve beyond it. And as you increase the light, the darkness lessens, or if you increase decrease the light, the darkness increases, unfortunately. But there are no lower planes of evolution. There's only plane 2, so evil cannot really evolve that very far. But light can infinitely evolve to the highest level. And there's no limitations put on you by Father God and how much you can evolve. You can go to the ultimate level of evolution, and that will take a long time, of course, but it's a good path to walk. So Anna Dika and myself both become spiritually awoken in our lives, and Anna Dika earlier and myself in 95 become spiritually awoken. And the way it happened for me is that about the Christmas of 94, I was inspired to learn to dance in a nightclub. And so I danced every night at home to nightclub music for 30 minutes. I got so fit. After 3 months, I was getting really good at dancing. Then one night, I went to a nightclub on my own, as it happens, and I went there, and a song came on that totally inspired me. I went out to the dance floor, and I danced perfectly to that music, and mostly through my legs. And it's like the music in motion when you're perfectly dancing. And it was really rapid dancing too, but you're so fit, it doesn't really show that you're moving that bit much. It's not big steps or anything like that, but the flow is in you, and my chakras all lit up like a Christmas tree. It was a phenomenal experience, I can tell you. Absolutely phenomenal. I was so powered up and so energized, all my chakras opened up, and myself, my true self, my spirit self, come and took control, and I started levitating for 3 songs. And then it went away on the 3rd song. I levitating across that dance floor, and my higher self sent thoughts to me from itself in my mind saying, this is just the beginning of what I can do. And it was phenomenal. And when I walked off that dance floor, I thought, I know I'm a spirit now. And I thought, well, if I'm a spirit, there's probably a creator of some sort, maybe a god or some sort, and that there's probably, you know, an afterlife to go to, and there's probably my mum would be alive in the spirit realm and living on, and who'd passed over when I was a child, and also that if I could find this much, there must be more to find if I keep seeking. So it opened my mind to evolution, and I went out, and sure enough, it happened. Other abilities started happening, and I started opening up in different ways, and whatever else has happened. But it has entailed quite a lot of suffering, but that's the teacher. You know, the teachers here, like Anadika and myself, have been through the greatest suffering. And, you know, it's because that teaches you how to help other people that are suffering. It makes you very strong and tough at getting through bad things. But it lets you have a great deal of compassion and love to want to help and heal others. But that's done in different ways, not only just through our healing videos, but in what we have to say. And, you know, we've both got an inkling to want to teach down here what we know. We're still going through it, you know, the hardships of life and everything, like everybody does. But we were particularly challenged, but we've had past lives, both of us, and we've come back from higher planes in the spirit realm to serve upon this world. And I know I come from plane 10, which is the highest plane man's evolved to so far in the spirit realm, to come back here and serve humanity as best I can, because I've got a love for it, a passion for it, a vocation for it, and so's Anadika. So we both want to help humanity come out of its darkness, because we are doing so many bad things on this plane to each other. And to the world itself. We're damaging it irrevocably. And, you know, scientists have already said we're going to go to mass extinction if we carry on the way we're going, because the global warming and other pollutions on this planet are just destroying it. And, you know, we've got to come to our senses and stand up as individuals for a better world, haven't we? And we have to break free of everything that stops us doing that. So we've got to really awaken in a way spiritually to see the light. And, you know, spiritual evolution is just growth of your personal self, an evolution of your personal self. You haven't got to be holy to be spiritual. We're not talking about religion here. Religion's different to the type of spirituality Anadika and myself practice, and neither of us are religious. But we have listened to some of the teachings of religions, and there's many good ones, and they can help people live a better life, and they get consoled by their religion, some, so that's fair enough, isn't it? But not everybody wants to walk that path. But personal evolution is personal evolution. Those in groups or religions and such like can't really totally help you with personal evolution, because that's a personal thing to you, because each and every one of us is different. So there are many paths that lead to spiritual understandings and evolution, and you can grow until you are fairly much as evolved as you ever could be. So that's the way forward, isn't it? And you know, to start here on this world, and the sooner you start here, the further you're going to be ahead there. And, you know, the continuation of life. So this world has evolved from basic beginning of probably green or blue algae coming about, and it's evolved into what it is in this current day. And the whole precept of life is evolution, continual evolution, not just here, but hereafter. And so we can begin here if we open our minds to the fact, yes, it's all about spiritual evolution. And that's just growing myself as a being more and finding the abilities and greater intellect, greater understanding, greater experiences of life. Because life's a teacher, and it is a lesson, and a harsh one it can be, because we live within the natural laws. Because Father God thought, if life were possible without me, it would happen on a physical world. Therefore, I will create on a physical world, and it would be subject to the natures and natural laws of the universe, as is the universe, because the spirit realms, rather, as is the spirit realms, governed by the natural laws still. Excuse me. So the next plane is a world like this. And the plane beyond that is a world like this, only more evolved. Those on the next plane are not that much more evolved than us, because that's where we go to. And whatever level of evolution we've reached here, we go to plane 2 with that level of evolution. And some stay there for a very long time. Others evolve. But the sooner we evolve spiritually here, the further ahead we'll be there, as I've said. But there are people here that are very spiritual that actually don't go to the next plane. They go to the one beyond that. They've got that far. So it's amazing what they can do. And they're relishing life because they're overcoming the negativities to embrace the positivities in life. So they're going up, 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 up all the time in their understandings, abilities to cope with life, overcoming their problems, all these type of things that benefit from evolution. So you don't have to call it spiritual evolution or spiritual awakening. You can call it growth or whatever you like to call it. But it's self-betterment, and it's dragging yourself out of that negative vibration up into that spiritual higher vibration where you just feel good. You feel better. And I've had an experience of my past life of all 6 energies, because my past lives have 5 lives. There's one person in the spirit realm who was come back. With his 5 lives all amalgamated as one into this life, and I'm having an awakening to him now, and bits of him are coming to the surface. So he does body healing as well, and that's how he's helped me, because I've got a really bad neck and back, and he's sort of massaging my neck and moving bones about a bit sometimes and doing different things with me. So I'm having past life experiences and awakening again. And I had an awakening in 95, and that turned into quite a harsh reality for me. And Anna Dika, the same thing. She's been through the harshness of life too. That's how we learn, through experience. And if you're going to help people that are suffering on this world, you've got to suffer yourself, haven't you? And we come as teachers, to do our best for humanity and what we can do on YouTube and places like that. So we're doing our best at the moment to try and enlighten you, I guess, to the real purpose of life. And it isn't physical existence, it isn't physical properties, it's all about spiritual things, the real purpose of life. It's about spiritual growth and evolution. And we can start to find that here of us, as I've said, but we can continue that in the afterlife. And there's no limits put upon you by Father God. You can just continually evolve until you get to your ultimate level, which is whatever it is. And and I happen to believe that is potentially possible, that we become gods and goddesses eventually on plane 12 with Father God, because that's where he lives, on plane 12. So I come back from plane 10, and not sure Anna Dika where she comes from, but pretty high plane she's returned from to serve humanity, because spirits come back sometimes to do that. And sometimes they're given help by Father God and others to serve a purpose and help their fellow mankind, because really you're not in the service of God, you're in the service of humanity to help them. That's the whole purpose of coming back, if you want to serve your fellow brothers and sisters and all other life on the world. So we've got to change, and we need to spiritually awaken, as Anna Dika has said, because it will bring light into this world. where there is great darkness, sadly, and we really have taken a wrong turn because materialism, greed, power, control are all destroying this world and polluting it and doing all kinds of drastic things to it, where we're going downhill fast. And, if we do not change and stop polluting this world, we're all going to go to mass extinction. And scientists have been predicting this for the last 10 years, that if we do not change and stop polluting, we're going to go into mass extinction. And it will just be horrendous weather, and storms and fires and all kinds of worse catastrophes happening on this world because of the climatic conditions changing so much, and the sea levels rising and all the rest of it, and flooding and whatever else is happening at the moment. We're all becoming more and more aware of all these problems occurring. We know we're the cause, because the truth is, on any world like this with the natural laws and natures governing it, there would be no humanoids, because of the one intelligence so far above all others that they could destroy the world, and that's just what we're doing, unfortunately. So we've got to stop this madness, and we've got to come to terms with, hey, we've got to be sensible now. We've got to start looking after the world and live in balance and harmony with it, because all things in equilibrium. But Father God decided he'd create upon 200 worlds in the universe, and there's 200 spirit realms for them to go into and continually evolve. And he hoped his children, because he wanted children, that's why he created apes here that have evolved into us, that they would be sensible enough not to destroy their own world. And sadly, there's so much greed, power and control on this world over things that we are sadly destroying it, and we need to wake up. And this is a spiritual awakening that's happening on this world, and it's going to keep happening. So it's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger, this spiritual awakening of this world, and there's going to be signs, from above. And we've got to embrace this life, and we've got to realize we're spirit and do our best to evolve and get beyond the current situation and stand up and be counted for living in balance and harmony with all natures and all life on this world. So it's about becoming awoken, spiritually awoken. And you know what I mean, if you spiritually awaken, it can be in all kinds of different ways. But there are a lot of latent spiritual gifts we have, like clairvoyance, mediumship, psychism, healing, intuitive abilities. There's a whole array of spiritual abilities, but we can increase our understandings through experience and learning and different things like this too. So, it's just a personal pathway then, isn't it? For you to find your own way in what's open to you to find. But there are teachers here that can guide you, and Anadika and myself are just two of them, so we'll do our best, and we'll try to help you in your spiritual pathway of evolution if you wish to walk that. And well, it's sensible it's common sense to do what's in your own best interest, but each for themselves. And if they don't, then they have that ability to do that sometime in the next life. And but it makes sense to do it here, doesn't it? If you can put yourself ahead on the next plane, and you soon find yourself on plane 3 and are happy. So spirits within the spirit realms can travel back down to any plane. Once they've gone to a higher plane, they can go back. If they're on plane 3, they can go back to plane 2 or back to plane 1 and such like. They can visit here and stuff as well. So yeah, it just makes sense to just think about it and see which direction your path lays in, friends. Anyway, love and light to you, Neil.